attending today's special call, Utilities, Technology, and Committee of the Whole meeting. Today is Tuesday, September 12th. The time is 2:34. So I call the meeting to order. We do not have any minutes are not ready from the last meeting, so we don't have approval of the minutes. We do have one item, and then we have our round robin following the one item. But today we do have a presentation for under new business by Alabama Power, and they want to talk with us about construction for a new substation. So we have Ms. Kimberly Jackson, and I'll let her introduce the other members of the Alabama Power team.
Okay.
Thank you, President Alexander. Again, like you said, I'm Kimberly Jackson, Community Relations Manager in the Birmingham Division of Alabama Power Company. I'm here with my colleague Jasmine Sledge in the Birmingham Division. Also in our corporate real estate land acquisition group, I have Mike Bunn and David Gray here with me. We are here, as you said, to discuss a rezoning request as advised by Planning and Zoning we are going to redevelop an existing distribution sub or upgrade that distribution substation in Pratt City, and then we would like to construct a transmission substation in the Sherman Heights neighborhood. And so we will have to get the property that is in Sherman Heights rezoned from its current classification, excuse me. We've attended several neighborhood meetings, and we have spoken with neighborhood leaders all in the Sherman Heights, Inslee, Central Pratt, and North Pratt communities. They're all the adjacent neighborhoods around the property that we are talking about today. And so we've had positive response from most of those conversations, and we're just waiting on them to submit their forms for rezoning approval. But I will keep it over to my colleagues, like I said, in corporate real estate, to describe the project in further detail.
Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm Mike Bunn. This is David Gray, both with the real estate department. As Kim mentioned, the existing Pratt City substation that's been there since probably around 1941, we are upgrading it in place. We are putting new equipment. We're raising some of the equipment to handle flooding issues and things like that from time to time that happens in Village Creek. And so it will stay in place and handle the current load and provide better service to the surrounding area and those communities that we've talked to already. In addition to that, on the map you can see here, and plus the map that we handed out, near the water treatment plant, you'll see a kind of a bluish green triangle. That is the location of the transmission substation that we are purchasing and will be constructing beginning next year is the plan, assuming that we get approval for the zoning and complete the purchase. So it is a transmission sub, so it will help with switching and handling of the load from the different generating plants that we have in the area. It also helps support downtown Birmingham with its load needs.
And so basically, just kind of to give you all a history of this as well, as Mike said, our existing sub is in Inslee, and it's currently a distribution and a transmission sub side by side. Part of the reason we're purchasing this new parcel is we can no longer continue to operate both of them on the same site and upgrade the hardware. Right. The site is simply too small. So what our plan is to convert the entire site into a distribution sub, which is service to customers, businesses, that type of stuff. Upgrade it to a new state-of-the-art facility, and then of course move our transmission substation up the road next to the Village Creek treatment plant. It's kind of, I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with the area, but there's a roundabout somewhere right in here where there's a gate to the water treatment facility. Our plan is to build an access road down onto this, and then it would be a gated with a roundabout at the end of the road, which you can kind of see on the second page of the handout that I did. The reason this site was selected, we looked frankly all around this area. We have to pick somewhere that is near transmission lines and the lines that are already serving here. This was the best site that we could find given its impact on the neighborhood and its environmental impact. It's a little bit closer to Village Creek than we wanted, to be honest with you, but it serves a lot of purposes, and I believe it's the best site that we could have chosen in the area. The current zoning on it is mixed use, which I believe is MXD and an M2 zoning. Our plan is to ask for a heavy industrial zoning, which would be the proper zoning for a substation, just on this select parcel, and it's a 16-acre parcel. It's part of an overall, I believe U.S. Steel owns maybe 600 acres all throughout that area, but it's just a 16-acre parcel in the back corner of it.
Thank you for bringing this information to us and sharing it with us. I'm going to open it up and ask councilors if you have any questions. I have a few questions, but councilors, do you have any questions regarding this information we shared so far?
Yes, would y'all be comfortable if we chew out a bunch of things out of the industrial zoning that would not impact your operations?
As long as it doesn't impact our operations, yes, we'd be perfectly fine with that.
The only reason I ask that is, sometimes neighborhoods have, when they go through and read all of the
Right.
applicable uses of a zoning requirement, and then they see, something that is a core, however, that is not the
Sure.
the
And
intended use,
Yeah.
and they're like, well, what if in 10 years this becomes a lead battery?
Right.
Whatever.
And to be
We just need
complete,
those questions.
yes, we've had that exact
Yeah.
pushback, to be fair with you.
Okay.
And we don't have any problem with that. I don't think we have any intention of moving this
No.
anytime soon.
No.
I know y'all. I just
So
wanna-
we would be
just to-
perfectly fine with
just to
that.
add ease to whatever the potential public's concern
Yes, sir, I think that'd be perfectly fine with us.
is. All right, that's all.
Dr. Quinn?
Yeah, talk to me about the history of the site, what it was used for previously. I'm specifically interested to know if there's, number one, any brownfield remediation that would, need to be performed in conjunction with development of the site. And then number two, it's no secret to anyone that Inslee Works is a significant, piece of property and holds a lot of potential, but also has a lot of liabilities connected to it as well. So, in the city's dreams and aspirations, we would love to see that site reactivated at some point. And, of course, utilities plays a big role in whether or not that can happen. So are you guys thinking strategically, that along 20, 30 years in the future, hopefully that won't be that long, but anyway, are you acquiring enough property to potentially serve some sort of redevelopment of Inslee Works?
Yes, so I guess I'll talk, if Michael explained the environmental work we've done and stuff on the back end of that. But to answer your question, yes. Part of the reason for our acquisition of this is kind of like I said earlier. Currently, our transmission sub, which, is power from the site or from the generation unit to the sub, and our distribution sub out to customers are on the same site. And it's unable to handle any expanded load. So we've kind of reached capacity on that, and we're going to have to expand that, which is what's going on the Inslee site currently, is an expanded distribution sub that can handle additional growth, whether it be residential, commercial, industrial in that area. The transmission sub is part of the support to that. So if we're going to increase the load in this part of town, then we need to increase feed into that system. And so that's why we have acquired this parcel to build this new sub, is to hopefully spur growth. As far as what U.S. Steel plans to do with the rest of Inslee Works, I don't know. I know there's been some talk of redevelopment, but that's their plans.
That's partly on us too, so.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is hopefully to support additional growth in the area in the future. You want?
Yeah, expanding the capability with the transmission sub, in terms of growth size, that's the standard footprint. 16 acres to 20 acres is the standard footprint for a transmission sub. So definitely allowing more room for that would help to balance additional load that would become in the future and help support any existing load within the city that other additional distribution subs and things like that would need. So we are changing our footprint with some of our generation sites, so it helps with, locating the transmission sub to help with better switching of the power coming in. In terms of the environmental question, we did, like David said, this is one of the reasons we looked at this site too, was from an environmental standpoint. So we have looked at other sites in the area. This for us, we've done a phase 1 environmental on it. We've done some additional studies. We had an environmental group come out and do some studies, and we expect all the reports we've gotten back are positive. We've done ground penetrating radar and things like that. So everything we've gotten thus far is clear to proceed with that. If there's any dirt that would come off the site, we have procedures. We work with our environmental group to handle any dirt that coming off that and put it in the proper places, that off-site places and things like that in order to prepare the ground for the equipment.
There's something, it looks like there's some existing structure on the site. Was this like
That-
ovens or something
Are
previously?
you
or-
talking about right down here? Kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
So this property right here, Vulcan Materials actually leases that from U.S. Steel. It's a truck shop. Is kind of where Vulcan Materials repairs their truck. That'll still remain right here along the railroad tracks.
Okay. So in the map that you've given us, we're only talking about the area outlined in green and area outlined in...
The red outline is the actual parcel. The green outline is the access road that would come up from Pleasant Hill Road. So the red is, it's kind of sandwiched in between the facility that David mentioned plus the water treatment plant fence that comes up that slope right there.
Anything else, Dr. Gotcha.
So, I guess Kim, so the heavy industrial is the proper category for a substation?
Yes, sir. And it's I-2, that's our new, I'm Kim Sproul, I'm the zoning administrator for the city of Birmingham. So that is the proper zoning category, I-2, for this project. And so the MXD, this is the planned mixed use, what almost all of Oxmoor is zoned. And there's no subcategory designated for any of this right now. So regardless of what type of project, it would have to go through the zoning process. And I think planned mixed use is not necessarily what we see in the long-range land use plan for this area. So I too would fall into what they are proposing.
One more question.
Yes, go ahead.
So I don't know if you guys have looked into this, but I know portions of Village Creek have segments of the Red Rock Ridge and Valley Trail System planned for it. Have you guys investigated whether or not this section of Village Creek, is part of that future long-range plan?
No, I don't think we have.
We have not done research on that.
Okay.
But I guess if we could get the details on exactly what section of...
Yeah, well, Freshwater Land Trust is the entity that, spearheading the Red Rock Ridge and Valley Trail System plan, but that plan is, available online.
Okay.
And, I don't recall, I'm not as familiar with that part of the county, with regard to the trail system. So I know there are other portions of Village Creek that have, there's a vision for putting greenways along Village Creek. That just don't, want to make sure that everybody's going into this fully informed.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll look into that.
Our office can help you.
Thank you.
But that's a great observation. I'm glad you mentioned that because I know they've done some extensive work and made announcements about how the trail will be extended and eventually interconnect. So that would be something you really want to take into accountability.
Sure.
Because they've got their plans out there. They've already started this process. Let me ask just sort of a timeline or a timetable from this point forward. You have or have not talked with any of the neighborhoods yet?
We
have.
Okay.
We've
And
attended
what
all
has
of them.
been their, any feedback or have you gone to them similar to how we'd be going to for a zoning issue or have you just talked, that's already started? Okay, great.
Yes, we've attended, well, we've had meetings either with the neighborhood association in full or the neighborhood association leadership for all the adjacent
Okay.
communities or neighborhoods. So right now, we're just waiting for them to submit their zoning forms with their approval or denial. We're expecting those any day now, any hour, or moment now, actually, so.
And how long does it take to build this type of substation?
We usually plan construction around a year, depending on the size of the sub. You know, a lot of it depends on on grading needs and things like that. With this case, with building, having to build an adjacent road, I think they'll extend the timeline a little bit, but somewhere around a year timeframe.
And we're anticipating starting in January for the grading part.
Okay, great. And I do want to piggyback on the question about the queue conditions. So I would assume that any conversations you've had so far with the neighborhoods, have they been interested in any of those, or have they at that point yet? It's Kim. Are they at that point yet where they will be considering that and looking at what this I-2 designation is?
Yes, ma'am. So the forms are, it's the neighborhood vote form that we send to all the neighborhood associations once we receive the application.
And that's what we list all of this. Okay.
And so they just finished those meetings, so we don't actually have the forms yet in our office.
Okay.
But what we can do between now and the ZAC meeting is we can work with Alabama Power to queue out some of those uses that the neighborhood would be uncomfortable with. And that way we can present it to the zoning advisory committee and then P&Z and ultimately the full city council with those queue conditions.
Any other questions, Councilor?
I would just stress what Dr. O'Quinn brought up about the Red Rock Trail System and taking Ms. Kim Spurl's offer on having them help you make sure that that's not part of it, because I think that with the amount of time and effort that that Freshwater Land Trust and the city have put into this long-term plan and pursuing grants from the feds and me giving up on my ARPA money for it and things like that, I really think that could throw a wrench in the plan if it's not considered. And if it does happen to go through your property, obviously, if it's planned for, it can be executed up front. And so that could curb any potential issue.
Sure.
That is all I wanted to reiterate.
Thank you, appreciate that. Any other questions? That's it. I wanted to ask, I don't believe we need a vote at this point, or do we, councilors, what is your pleasure?
I say a motion just to get it out of this.
Yes, and recommendation that we've heard, the information that has been presented to us, so if someone wants to.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we vote it up. And just remember the comment about before it goes to full council, we expect to see, so showing up the day of full council and not knowing about the Red Rock Trail System could be problematic.
Sure.
All
Gotcha.
right, so the motion is to put it up.
Okay, second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, thank you. So that recommendation comes from the Utilities Committee. Thank you very much. Thank you all so much for bringing this information to us. As part of our old business and status of ongoing projects, I am so happy to see our representative here from Spectrum. And we know that, and you couldn't have timed it better, but just give us any updates that you may have and let us know who you are for the record.
Okay,
Robert,
Robert
thank you.
Smith, Charter Communications Spectrum, and A week ago, I was a goat. Today, I guess I'm a hero in town.
That's right.
But what happened, and let me try to build this picture. It'll take me about 2 or 3 minutes. You all have seen ESPN over the last 5 months terminate the broadcasting contracts of a lot of their highly visible announcers. If you haven't, they fired a lot of heavyweights, okay? And I don't mean, and I'll see if they recorded.
You still know.
Okay, well, we want to make sure that our agreements did not punish consumers. We have nearly 15 million subscribers nationwide. But sometimes your grandmother, your aunt, and all, they don't want to watch sports. So several years ago, we put sports into a package. And that's there with all the ESPN properties, Fox Sports, South, Major League Baseball, NFL. So in an effort to get additional funding, Disney/ESPN wanted to take that program out of that funding for about 8.5, 9 million and put it on everyone. Put ESPN on everyone. Out of the cable bill every month, ESPN Disney gets like $12. Turner may get $1. Lifetime may get 60 cents, but ESPN has so many that ESPN Disney get $12. And we said we could not let somebody's grandmother that didn't watch sports, or somebody's aunt that didn't watch sports, be charged $12 for something they weren't watching. So we said no, then they took the programming off. And the negotiations kept going. And then something miraculous happened yesterday morning, and it's back on. So the whole 9 years, so those people that were without service are going to be proratically credited. So if you get called, the credit will happen, just show up on the next bill. And nothing will force that consumer to be punished financially because ESPN wanted more money. How about 2 minutes?
That was better. Sync update. So thank you very much. I do appreciate you coming forward today. And when I saw you that you were here for the meeting, I was thought, well, this is perfect because I know we had so many, just members of the public that were expressing their concern and their angst about not being able to get to those channels. I didn't realize how many of those channels are part of the ESPN package. Every time you kept flipping the station, you saw that. You got that message up there.
See,
So
that was
you
a
realize
model.
it's so big.
When I've been in this for 29 years on couple of it. The cable package when I first started was $26.11 for 59 channels. Now you've got in excess of 500 opportunities to view whatever, different packages. But people kept coming on because the model was built that ESPN and other programs would raise money by subscriptions. Whoever subscribed, we owe ESPN so much money, Comcast owes ESPN so much, Charter, you name it, everybody owes. So they get billions of dollars. In a wrong week's time, ESPN can probably, in a wrong month's time, ESPN can probably collect, $40 million better. I'm just using numbers. But what has happened over the last 6 or 7 years, cable subscriptions have gone down. And people have cut the cord on cable and their streaming services. Everybody has got some kind of Netflix, YouTube, Hulu somewhere, That's fine. Well, I'm not in opposition to that because I've got a couple of them. But what has happened, the broadband business has grown. We sell more broadband now than we do cable. But ESPN subscriptions are built on broadband. So it's Comcast cuts theirs, it's Cable One cuts, everybody that cuts their cable subscription, they've lost money. So there's got to be a different model for financing and funding. And they've got to come up with that mechanism, but they couldn't punish our people because of those shortcomings. That's all it was. All right.
Well, thank you. We're glad. I was very happy to get that announcement yesterday. So whatever y'all had to do to scramble and get that back to us, I'm most appreciative of it. Went to cancel my sling and the system went down. So it's like I was going to jump and get another, somebody else to get that. I had to see Joe Namath Saturday morning. So.
The bigger, my son has YouTube TV, and I've tried YouTube TV, and it's been hot for the last 9 days. They've got this 21-day free trial. It's just been free, because they're not going to get past 21 days. They won't pass 21 days.
Well, thank you again. We do appreciate it. The next meeting regular scheduled meeting for the Utilities Committee will be held Tuesday, October 17th at 2 p.m. in conference room D and E. If we don't have any objection, I'll just take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all so much for bringing this
Thank you for having us.
information.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
That's okay.